Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another Sunday lesson with me. I'm so glad that you're here joining me and learning another lesson in our worship series of Help, Thanks, Wow. This is week 2 of our series. Last week we talked about prayer, and we talked about how to pray to God and how sometimes we feel kind of inadequate or unprepared to pray, and how sometimes we just don't feel like we're good prayers. But we talked about a lesson where we already are good prayers, and we already are adequate enough or good enough to pray to God, and God loves our prayers no matter what they sound like or how long they are, whatever the case. And today we are talking about praying, but for others. This is probably one of the hardest things we can do, especially when the others are people we don't like, or people that have been mean to us, or people that we feel like don't deserve our prayers, which isn't true. But praying for others when it's your mom, your family, a friend of the family, someone that is your best friend, that's much easier. It's still so amazing to pray for others, no matter who they are. But we're also going to get into the tougher stuff of praying for people that we may not necessarily want to pray for. And what does that look like? So I have 2 different scriptures we're going to be reading. One of them is a single verse, and then one of them is a few verses. So the first one is the few verses, and that is going to be in the book of Ephesians. Ephesians is in the New Testament. It is after the 4 Gospels, but not too far after. You have Acts, Romans, 1st and 2nd Corinthians, Galatians, and then Ephesians. And Ephesians is kind of short, so it may like flip right past you, or you might look it up on your phone or your tablet, whatever it is. Would love to encourage you to open it in your physical Bible. It is awesome to get to mark it up and to get to highlight and see it for yourself and get to flip through the pages. And I'm going to read that to you right now, and I'll put the verses up on the screen. Oh, and the verses are verses 16, well, even the chapter. The chapter is chapter 3, Ephesians chapter 3, verses 16 through 19. And it says, "I pray that out of his glorious riches he may strengthen you with power through his Spirit in your inner being, so that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith. And I pray that you, being rooted and established in love, may have power, together with all the Lord's holy people, to grasp how wide and long and high and deep is the love of Christ, and to know his love that surpasses knowledge, that you may be filled to the measure of all the fullness of God." What an awesome prayer. That is, I would totally recommend highlighting that, because when praying for others, maybe there's something specific we're praying for. Maybe someone's sick, maybe someone lost their job, maybe they're hoping to get something, maybe they just need help in some way, and you know what they are wanting people to pray for them for. And so sometimes it's easy to start with, dear God, I hope X, or I hope they find what they're looking for. I hope they are healed. I hope that they get better. I hope that they are happy. And then after we kind of pray about what they need, it's kind of like, okay, what do we pray for now? And that 16 through 19 is a great thing to pray for others for. And it's something that it comes naturally. It's easy, and it's just not as difficult for us to pray for people who we think deserve a prayer like this. Sometimes we think people don't deserve a prayer like this, and that is human. That everyone feels that way. There are people we think don't deserve this kind of prayer because they're mean, because they've treated us poorly, because they've made fun of us. Who knows what? They said something ugly to us. There are many, many reasons why we think someone doesn't deserve this prayer. They deserve a prayer that's, I hope that they trip and fall, and something that would be revenge-like, and it's very hard to admit that we think those things, and we think about even praying those things and wishing those things on some people. But it's human. It's where we go sometimes, but of course it doesn't make it right. And so sometimes when I hear a lesson like this on a Sunday morning, and I kind of go through my week, and there's a person who is someone I wouldn't pray for because of however they have acted towards me. This sort of lesson, whatever I'm listening to or whatever I listen to on a Sunday or whenever, pops right up in my head because it's so fresh, and I feel really guilty for thinking the way I did of they don't deserve my prayers. As if I'm high and mighty and my prayers are worth more than other prayers. But a lesson like this would pop into my mind and humble me much and remind me that we need to pray for all people, not just the people we want to pray for, not just the people that were nice to us, not the people we feel sorry for, but it includes not only all those people, of course, all those people, but especially for the people that it's hard to pray for. And I hope that kind of pops up into your mind when you experience someone doing something not nice to you or acting in a way that hurts your feelings, and you remember that I still should pray for you because obviously there's something going on there, and I would like God to help you, because we all need God's help. A very good verse to go along with that situation of praying for someone who isn't being kind to you or you had a falling out with is in Luke, and it's in the Gospels, all the Gospels, but we're looking at Luke 23. It's verse 34, little backstory. So verse 34 is in the process of Jesus being crucified. And this is after he's been beaten, after he's been mocked, and Jesus is being taken to be put on the cross. And this is when he's on the cross, he's placed in the middle of two other criminals who actually were criminals. They did what they were being sentenced for. And Jesus, of course, not doing what people were saying he did or what he was being accused of. And this is a prayer that Jesus prays on the people who, I would say everyone, of the people who chose Barabbas, the people who beat him, the people who brought him to be put on the cross, like everyone involved in this process thinking that what they're doing is right and Jesus is blasphemous and Jesus is causing trouble or anything like that. And Jesus says this, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they're doing." Talk about praying for people who act meanly towards you. I mean, that's just the extreme level, and Jesus, of course, being Jesus, we aren't surprised, but we should be inspired by this prayer. Jesus does all things right. He's 100% God, 100% man. And kind of where this falls into is, I bet this human side of Jesus obviously is feeling pain and to an unimaginable point, and he's probably mad. I don't know. I think I would be mad of having to do this, but then he's also 100% God, and he has this overflowing love for all of his children, and he understands that this is part of the plan. And so it's interesting to try to see where he's coming from with that prayer of but that's where we as only 100% human kind of come into play of we wouldn't never pray these things because we're not Jesus, but it shows the unimaginable love God has for all his people, all his children, including the ones that betray him, including the ones that don't really understand that this is awful, this is so bad. And how amazing would it be if we tried to just start following in those footsteps, not going to this point. I don't know if I would ever get to this point of people hurting me, beating me, killing me, and I'm praying for their forgiveness, but we can start in baby steps. Maybe it is possible, and it's unimaginable. We can't imagine that position right now, but man, if someone says something mean to you at school, What does it look like to pray for them that night and say, you know what, I bet they were having a really awful day, God, and I just hope that whatever's happening with them, it gets better. And something that's kind of hard, like we kind of just want to not do that. But what does it look like to just start in that step? Or just start to think about, maybe I should pray for this person. That's one step in the right direction of praying for others who we may not want to pray for. But another right step, I go sometimes without praying for people, and I forget to do that sometimes, and it's a really big part of, your spiritual relationship with God and being a Christian is praying for other people. And what does it look like to pray for your family this week? Pray for your aunt, pray for your brother or sister, pray for your best friend, someone that it might come a little easier for us to pray for. What does it look like to start with that step and then move into praying, you know what, I should probably pray for this kid who just kind of said something mean and, said something kind of like off the cuff and maybe didn't mean it, but just was kind of mean. And getting to that place of being able to pray for that person as well. So I hope you kind of take this into account and think about that this week. And maybe you'll have an instance where this kind of lesson of praying for other people comes into play. And maybe you're just kind of sitting there one day and you're like, maybe I should pray for them for 20 seconds. It doesn't have to be long. But just thinking about someone and hoping that they're well and hoping that they're happy and praying that they feel God's love. Maybe that can be you this week. And I hope it is. I hope you'll have an amazing week. I hope that you remember to pray for someone this week, no matter who it is. So I hope to see y'all soon. I have been loving seeing some of y'all on Sunday mornings. It has been awesome to get to see y'all and say hi and wave and just get to talk to y'all a little bit. But if not, I hope y'all have a wonderful week this week, and I hope it is filled with so much fun and with so much love. And I will see y'all again next time. Bye.